The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as High Executor Vrathkin raised all four of his clawed appendages, the ceremonial gesture that preceded the most significant declarations in known space. Around the circular hall, representatives from 372 civilized species watched with anticipation. Today would mark a new era for the galaxy. By the ancient laws of conquest and the unanimous vote of this council, Vrathkin's translator broadcast across 1,000 worlds, we hereby declare the species known as humans to be a slave race, effective immediately. Their world, Terra, or Earth as they call it, is now property of the Galactic Collective. Cheers erupted. Finally, the aggressive newcomers would be put in their place. What none of them knew was that two humans were watching from Earth's orbital defense station, and one of them was about to change the course of galactic history forever. William Chen stood before the holographic projection, his jaw clenched so tightly that Maya could hear his teeth grinding from across the command center. The young lieutenant's dark eyes reflected the cold light of the declaration as it repeated on loop, each word a hammer blow against his composure. "Sir," Maya said softly, her hand hovering over the communication console. The decorated captain had seen William grow from a nervous academy graduate to one of Earth's finest tactical officers, but she'd never seen this expression on his face before. It was something primal, something dangerous. "We need to contact Earth Command." No, William's voice was barely above a whisper, but it carried the weight of a death sentence. "We don't." Maya turned fully toward him, her braided hair swinging across her uniform. "William, we can't." "Can't what, Captain?" He finally looked at her and she took an involuntary step back. "Can't defend our species, can't protect our families. My daughter is down there, Maya, your brother, everyone we've ever known." His voice rose with each word. "And they just declared us property." The hologram flickered. New images appeared. Galactic enforcement fleets moving toward Earth's outer territories, toward the mining colonies, the agricultural stations, the research outposts where human families lived and worked. "They're already moving," William said, his voice returning to that terrifying calm. "Standard subjugation protocol. They'll hit the outlying settlements first, establish dominance, break our spirit before they even reach Earth." Maya's fingers danced across her console, pulling up tactical data. 12 galactic fleets, each one commanded by a different species, each one carrying enough firepower to glass a continent. Standard doctrine, overwhelming force to ensure compliance. Standard doctrine for conquering primitives who didn't know better. They had no idea what humans actually were. "The Council has forgotten something important," William said, walking toward the weapons control station. "We tried to tell them during first contact. We tried to explain." "Explain what?" Maya asked, though she already knew. Every human knew. It was taught in schools, whispered in stories, embedded in their culture like DNA. "That we're not like them," William answered, his fingers entering a command sequence that made Maya's blood run cold. It was the authorization code for Project Prometheus, the weapons system that Earth Command had forbidden them to ever activate without direct authorization. "William, stop." Maya moved toward him, but he held up a hand. "The galaxy thinks we're weak because we tried peace first," he continued, the authorization sequence climbing toward final confirmation. "They think our diplomacy means we're soft. They looked at our reluctance to militarize space and assumed we were incapable." He paused, finger hovering over the final key. "But Maya, we didn't avoid militarizing space because we couldn't. We avoided it because we knew what we'd become if we did." The hologram shifted again. Real-time footage showed a galactic enforcement battalion landing on mining colony Theta 7. Maya watched in horror as soldiers in alien armor began herding human workers, men, women, children, into transport vessels. The workers didn't resist. They'd been instructed not to during first contact. Humans were supposed to be peaceful, civilized. One of the alien soldiers struck a human child who moved too slowly. The girl couldn't have been more than 7 years old. Maya's hand slammed down on the authorization panel beside William's. "Do it." William pressed the final key. Across Earth's solar system, 247 weapons platforms that had been disguised as research satellites suddenly came online. Each one carried technology that the Galactic Council didn't know existed, technology that humans had developed during their brutal, violent history, before they'd learned to channel their aggression into exploration instead of conquest. The galaxy was about to learn why humanity had worked so hard to control itself. "Captain," the comms officer called out, "we're receiving transmission from the lead galactic fleet. They're demanding our immediate surrender and—" The young officer paused, listening. "Sir, they're laughing. They're actually laughing at us." William's smile was colder than the void outside. "Not for long. Maya, open a channel, all frequencies. I want every species in the galaxy to hear this." Maya's fingers flew across the console. "Channel open, Lieutenant. You're broadcasting to 372 worlds." William stood before the camera, his Earth Defense Force uniform crisp despite the circumstances, his posture rigid with military precision. When he spoke, his voice carried across light years. "My name is Lieutenant William Chen of the Earth Defense Force. 1 hour ago, your council declared my species to be slaves. You sent your fleets to enforce that declaration. You struck our children." He paused, letting the weight of those words settle. "You've made a critical error in judgment." On screens across the galaxy, alien beings watched with amusement. Some even continued with their daily activities, barely paying attention to the human speech. "Humanity has existed for 200,000 years, William continued. "For most of that time we were at war. Not with aliens, we didn't know you existed. We were at war with ourselves. We perfected the art of violence. We created weapons that could end all life on our world 1,000 times over. We developed strategies of warfare so brutal, so efficient, that we horrified ourselves into peace." The amusement was fading now. Some species were actually listening. "When we reached for the stars, we made a choice. We chose to be better. We chose to greet you with open hands instead of closed fists. We chose peace not because we were weak, but because we knew exactly how strong we actually were." His voice hardened. "But you've just made a different choice for us." Maya watched the tactical display as galactic fleets began to realize that the research satellites surrounding them were locking on. She heard the panicked transmissions starting to flood the channels. "You wanted slaves," William said. "You're going to get something much worse. You're going to get humanity unchained." He nodded to Maya. She activated Prometheus. The galaxy had never seen weapons like these. Railguns that could punch through shields designed to withstand stellar radiation. Missiles that thought for themselves, anticipating evasive maneuvers before they happened. Energy weapons that didn't just destroy ships but unmade them at the molecular level. Technology developed by a species that had spent millennia trying to kill itself and had gotten very, very good at it. The first galactic fleet ceased to exist in 90 seconds. The second fleet managed to fire back, but their weapons splashed harmlessly against defense grids designed by a paranoid species that had spent the Cold War perfecting the art of mutually assured destruction. They lasted 2 minutes. By the time the third fleet tried to retreat, it was too late. The weapons platforms had been designed with one principle in mind, the same principle that had governed human warfare for centuries: overwhelming, decisive force applied without hesitation. There would be no second chances, no warnings, no mercy. Because humanity had learned, through thousands of years of bloody history, that mercy in war just meant more war later. On mining colony Theta 7, the galactic enforcement soldiers looked up as their command ship exploded in orbit. The human workers they'd been hurting suddenly stopped looking afraid. The little girl who'd been struck stood up straight, tears drying on her face, and smiled. The soldiers ran for their transports, but they never made it. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council watched in growing horror as fleet after fleet simply vanished from their tactical displays. Vrathkin stood frozen, all four arms trembling, as he finally understood the magnitude of their mistake. In the command center, William and Maya watched the tactical display clear of hostile signatures. 12 fleets gone, 73,000 alien soldiers eliminated, all in under an hour. "Sir," the comms officer said quietly, "we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. They're asking for peace talks." William's laugh was bitter. "Now they want to talk, after they declared us slaves, after they struck our children." He looked at Maya. "What do you think, Captain? Should we show them the mercy they were about to show us?" Maya thought about her younger brother on Earth, about all the human families who'd been moments away from slavery. She thought about that little girl on Theta 7, tears on her face as an alien soldier raised his hand. "I think," she said carefully, "that we should show them exactly who humanity is, not who we tried to be, not who we wanted to be." She met William's eyes. "Who we actually are when you threaten our children." William nodded slowly. "Agreed." He turned to the camera still broadcasting across the galaxy. "High Executor Vrathkin, you wanted to know what humanity is capable of. Now you know. You've seen what we can do when we're angry, when we're protecting our own." He leaned closer to the camera. "So here's what happens next. You're going to dismantle your council. You're going to release every slave species you've ever conquered. You're going to reform your government with actual representation, not the sham you have now." His voice dropped to something quiet and infinitely more dangerous. "And if you ever threaten a human being again, what you saw today will look like mercy." Across the galaxy, 372 species sat in stunned silence. The humans had been quiet, peaceful, diplomatic. They'd forgotten that humans had chosen to be those things. And choices could be unmade. Maya closed the channel and turned to William. "Earth Command is going to have our heads for this." William smiled, a real smile this time, tired but genuine. "Probably, but they'll also have their freedom. Our families will be safe. And the galaxy will remember, humanity doesn't want to be your enemy, but if you make us your enemy, you won't survive the experience." Outside the station, the weapons platforms remained active, silent sentinels watching the galaxy with cold, human eyes. The age of galactic dominance was over. Humanity's fury had seen to that.